Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Deskside Chats podcast presented by the City of Northport. My name is Madison Hyde, and I'm the Deputy Communications Manager for the city. Everyone has a story, right? In this podcast, I'll be learning the stories of our employees right here in the City of Northport. Join me as I chat with folks from all walks of life across departments and divisions. We're building a community of unity. Get to know the staff working for you every day. Now let's lean in and chat Deskside. As we reach the end of Breast Cancer Awareness Month, it's important to highlight how essential it is to get yearly mammograms and stay vigilant with your health. I have with me today Human Resources Director Christine McDade, who is a breast cancer survivor and willing to share her journey with us, as well as how she's moving forward with a new perspective. We thank Christine for being so open about her cancer journey. So let's get into her story. Hi, Christine.
Hey there.
Thank you for joining us today. I know this is a heavy subject to be talking about, but we're really grateful that you're taking the time to do it. So I guess we'll start from the beginning. So how did you find out that you had breast cancer?
Well, my breast cancer journey started December 27th of 2021. It's when I had my annual mammogram. Didn't think much of it, so I went to my appointment. About a week later, I got the call that said, hey, you need to come back. We detected something on your right side, and we want you to go to a different radiology center where the equipment's a little better. So I was a little concerned, but I really wasn't too worried because it had happened to me before where they had me come back and they cleared me. So I go to the second appointment. And I remember driving in, talking to my husband, said, don't worry about it, it's going to be okay. And I said, yeah, I'm just going to get this taken care of, so we're good. So I get done with the test, and the radiologist comes to see me personally. And I thought to myself, this isn't good.
Right.
So
oh, my gosh.
He said, he says, Mrs. McDade, we see something, it's kind of small on your right side. And he said, you got a couple options. We could do nothing, because it's pretty small. You can come back in 6 months. Or we could do a biopsy. He said, but I really don't think you need to. It's like he was trying to talk me out of it. If you're concerned, we can do it, but he says, it's not very big, don't worry about it. So I said, well, kind of with pause, and I thought to myself, I said, better share something with. I said, I want you to know my mother had breast cancer, and my mother's sister, my aunt, had breast cancer.
Okay.
And so he had a different look on his face. He said, there's a third option. He said, because it sounds like you genetically qualify for this third option, we have like an ultrasound MRI we could do. And, ultrasound mammogram. So this is my third mammogram.
Sure.
And get a better look at your right side. So I go in for my third mammogram now, which is an ultrasound, different location. Radiologist comes to see me again. He's got me a little worried this time. I said, the worst part about this, I will tell you, or one of them is waiting. You wait, or you're waiting for results or whatever. I'm sitting in the office. Comes back, he says, well, I'm trying to get hold of your doctor because we want to send you for another mammogram. We think something's going on. So they send me for an MRI mammogram this time. This is my fourth mammogram now. Mm-hmm. And this is the one I go home and I get the call just a few days later after the fourth test. And he says to me, it's my primary care doctor. He calls me up and says, well, he's out of breath. He's like, Christine, this is the call I don't like to make, but it sounds like you've got cancer. And this could be like the worst call. And so I'm feeling like, boy, I better make my doctor. I was like, doctor, are you telling me what's going on? He says, he goes, we don't like to make these calls, but it appears you do have cancer. And, we got to get you taken care of. And, they just like to be sure. So anyway, I go back to the doc. I go back for another appointment. I go for the biopsy. Those results are telling me not only do I have it, but I have 3 more tumors on my left side, which I didn't even think my left side was an issue. Right. So they're looking at the right. So anyway, long story short, 4 more biopsies. I've gotten the 4, and then I go for 4 more biopsies. They determine that, we're going to send you to a breast surgeon. And, it was, like I said, it's appointment, referral, wait for the results. And then it was, we'll get you in. It was February 3rd that I got the breast cancer diagnosis from my primary care doctor. I didn't see a surgeon until February 28th. So those 3 to 4
you're just
weeks.
stewing in it.
Yeah, it's a
Man.
mental roller coaster
Right.
because I was so, and I just kept going, oh, it's going to be okay, and then you get bad. I just kept getting bad results. That's what was very troublesome to me.
Right.
And so this doctor tells me that I'm at stage 1. I have stage 1 cancer.
Okay.
They're really only worried about one of the tumors on the left side. The right side was just small. They're going to go ahead and take everything, out. But she said, now you have a decision to make. Do you want a lumpectomy or a double mastectomy? And they won't tell you what to do. Like, they make you decide. So, that's like the hardest decision. I had to think about, what am I going to do when I do? So I made the decision because I was stage 1. And she said to me later, no, I would not have recommended that that's even an option. I did the lumpectomy.
Okay.
So April 5th, I go in, I have a lumpectomy. All the 4 tumors removed. A week and a half later, I get a call from the PA who says to me, oh, the oncologist doesn't like what he saw in the tissue he took out. We need to go back in for surgery in a couple weeks. And I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. What are you talking about?
Excuse me? Right.
Yeah, right. So, like I said, every step of the way, I just kept getting more bad news.
Right.
And I thought I was good. If you're going to have cancer, stage 1's a better stage to have.
Sure, right.
Radiation,
the best
whatever.
News when it comes to cancer news, I guess.
Right.
If there is a thing.
If there is such a thing.
Right.
It is the funny thing I will tell you, too. I heard at some point, it's just a little cancer. I'm like, no, that's what I'm saying, it's a cancer. And this is why. So then this person tells me, the doctor says you need to go back in. And so, again, we could do another lumpectomy or we can do the double mastectomy. And so at this point, I'm like, I'm not going through this again.
Right.
Because that's just it. People do get double mastectomies or partial, whatever, because they want to be done with it. You know what I mean? Like, so now just... let's get rid of the cancer. So that was April 5th. So essentially I've been cancer free since April 5th, although they wanted to go back. June 1st was my double mastectomy. So that's when it, and I didn't have to have radiation. I didn't have to have chemo. But throughout that, some of the hardest things about it was, had I not pushed, my doctor, that radiologist really in the beginning, to say, look, my mom had it. And that's what I would have been 6 months down the road.
Sure,
you know what I mean? So you have to be vigilant.
It's about
know
following
your body.
that gut feeling.
Right. I did. I had a gut feeling. And then, I just think pressing and asking the questions because... and it is hard. It was a lot of, let's go, like they kept sending me to appointments. So I say, I laugh, I'd be like, oh, hey, like I go into radiology regional, I know them all,
Right,
because I went so many times.
Right.
I didn't realize there were so many different types of mammograms and biopsies. But I will say that it's just better, it's just good and I had no symptoms, let me just say that. And then along the way, not only do you go to your breast surgeon, that was my main person, I had an oncologist. Then you suddenly have a radiation doctor. So I had all these different doctors.
Different points, yeah.
Yeah, and then with the double mastectomy, you have a plastic surgeon. So it was quite an experience, and it is a journey. And all throughout that, you're dealing with trying to juggle your family, your job.
Right.
And, I know I've heard more so about things that cause cancer, and one of them is stress. They say, when I say causes, it accelerates the spread of it.
Aggravates it, yeah.
It aggravates. It's probably a better word. But I do have a stressful job. So
yes, you do.
It does. It changed me. Having cancer, I'm a survivor of it. It changed me, and I do look at things differently. And not to say I still don't have my moments where I get frustrated or what have you. But listen, it puts your life. I remember getting that call that day on February 3rd, and I said, it was just like a dark hole. I just fell into this dark place.
Of course.
Because it's scary. It was just absolutely scary.
And you don't know any details.
And at that point, I had a doctor who sounded like I was about... Because I even said to him, doctor, am I dying? And he says, instead of saying, Christine, let's just take a look at this, he says, well... that's what they're trying to find out. I'm like, you're the worst doctor. And he was my primary care guy. And I even said, I've been seeing you for 15 years. I'm waiting for some kind of bedside manner to make me feel better.
Yeah,
but
right.
He wasn't the one. The specialist did, though. I had good doctors. And it's helpful to be comfortable with your doctors. And they help you along that journey. In fact, after I got off the phone February 3rd with him, I had the foresight. That's why I wanted to tell you, you trust your gut. I thought, I'm going to call this radiation doctor back because she told me I could when she was doing the biopsy.
Right.
And she called me back like within 10 minutes and said, Christine, this is manageable. That's the word I always remember early on in my cancer. Manageable. This is manageable. We're going to get through this. We're going to get you a treatment plan. And I had a great breast surgeon down in Fort Myers. I can't say enough. And I did get good care. It's changed me. You know, people say, oh, you know, you changed a lot. Well, a lot's changed for me, you know.
Of course.
And I would just say, and one of the hardest things was having to tell my 3 children I had cancer. That was really hard. And my husband and I did it together each time. And I have one son who's out of state at college, or at a college. And that was hard. And I know he probably felt pretty helpless knowing that I was going through this and he was far away. But I don't know, you do gain a courage in it too. Mm-hmm. It's scary, but there's a point when you're like, I'm going to fight this.
Right.
And, you know, everybody at the city here, phenomenal. They were so supportive. I feel like I let everybody down in the beginning because I kept getting bad news, Madison. It was like, you know what I mean? It was really weird. I have this responsibility because they'd be like, oh, you're going for this. I'm going for that. Yeah. And then it just kept coming back bad.
It's like, guys, don't be sad.
I know. I'm going to get through this. But people were so cool. And then, you know, the city manager's office, Jerome and Julie and Jason, everybody's been supportive. My staff down in Human Resources, they're just the best. And everybody across the city. I just, so I feel a responsibility. You know, I'm wearing pink. I've been wearing pink all month.
I was gonna say, I like the jacket.
Thank you. And it's very important to me that I give back and I support everyone going through it. They talk about, you know, your Pink Sisters and supporting them, because now that a lot of this is behind me, here it is, November, and I will say I'm so looking forward to the holidays. I'm looking forward, like I just have a whole new approach, appreciation, a whole new perspective, right? Because I'm. You know, I mean, it makes you go, boy, I got a lot of things I still want to do. I wasn't ready. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the fact that the whole journey and the mental part of, I just kept getting bad. And then finally it was like, okay.
So how did you keep, so I know you said your doctor or the specialist was keeping you raised up, but how did you keep like I don't want to say positive. It's hard to stay positive, but when you kept getting that bad news, how did you keep
my focus to
drive?
Well, I will say that I am I believe in Jesus, and I'm a religious person, and prayer helped me through.
Wonderful.
Absolutely. I have 3 great kids. I have 2 grandsons. My family, very supportive. A lot of prayer. I mean, it all goes back to that. And everybody here. I mean, I will say everybody was so supportive. This hurricane, I think we all experienced the word, I mean, just the positives of human nature.
Right.
I was so overwhelmed by the love and the care and the support I got over the last 7 months. I can't tell you. I was just overwhelmed. I was so appreciative. And I really, people, I mean, and the other thing I'll say is it's amazing how many stories people had for me that they had been through it too.
Right,
and,
sure.
You know, not everybody's private in a different way, or they share. And I wasn't really quiet about it, but at the same time, I don't know. I'm sure a lot of people didn't know I was going through it.
Sure, you weren't hiding it, but they weren't coming up and asking.
And I'll say I wasn't ashamed of it. I just didn't, maybe, everybody's got their own burns.
And you're just going to walk up and go, hey,
did you know? Yeah,
right.
Yeah. A couple people are like, she told me.
Right.
But no, I did. I mean, but I wanted to be responsible and let people know, because hey, where's Christine been last month?
Yeah, right.
And I really didn't think
I was one of those people.
Yeah,
I didn't know.
Where's Christine been?
Yeah.
But I had 2 surgeries like within 60 days, and I wasn't expecting that. So there were, there was I mean, literally, I would work, the other little stinker in all this was COVID.
Yeah.
So I had to be cool and stay home like the week or 2 before my surgeries so that I wouldn't the other step is they were testing me for COVID every time, like 3 days before.
So nerve-wracking,
I know,
too.
I'm like, oh gosh, don't let this be.
Right.
But especially the April 5th surgery, because I had waited since December, it was December, January, February, and then finally I had surgery on April 5th. And I was like, oh, please don't get COVID. I just wanted to get it done.
Get over with. Right.
Yeah, because I had a plan. And that's the other thing. You think you have a plan. My plan was to get this lumpectomy. I was going to have radiation for 6 weeks. Mm-hmm. And then cancer, I have a drug a medication I have to take now for 5 years. And I'm done. But then I got the call. Like I said, you have to be prepared to have some, curves in the road, because the call when they said, oh, we didn't like what we see. And the fact that, I will say this before I forget, had it not been for my right side and this benign, the right side was benign. It was the left side. Because when she called me and said, hey, your right side looks fine. They want to see you in 6 months. But you have 3 tumors on the left. I about fell on my chair. I'm like, what are you talking about, 3 tumors on the left? You know what I mean? I wasn't expecting, but had I not had the problem on the right, I wouldn't have. And I will say, had my mom not gone through it, I wouldn't have been able to tell the doctor at that point, hey, my mom had it. So that's when he gave me the
gives them more urgency to do it.
Yeah. So it's weird how life works because those things happen. And it's just a weird thing. So I wanted to do this justice because I want to support everyone this month and always going through this. And I will say this, and I offer to anyone in the city who wants to talk to me if they're going through any kind of cancer or anything, having gone through it, because I will say, I mean, I live with I won't say the fear, but I know deep down I still have to go see an oncologist every 6 months.
Right.
And, they're telling me the lymph nodes were clear and everything, but it's still my journey.
Yeah,
it's not over.
Right. Yeah, it's not going to.
I mean?
Yeah, probably ever be over. So this month in particular, this sort of is supposed to highlight the yearly checkups, right?
Yes.
And that's how you found out.
Absolutely. And if it hadn't been, I was going my annual checkup. I had no symptoms. The thing about my personal cancer or my personal health, my tumors were very small, and they were not detectable. All the doctors said there's no way you would know about this had you not come in. And again, had I not gone in for my right, it was actually the left that was cancer.
Yeah.
So.
Wow, well, we're really glad you're here, and we're really glad you're talking about it.
Yes, and it's my pleasure, and like I said, this is very important, and, any kind of awareness. And I know people have told me their stories, that are either their personal journeys with it, or their mom or their sister or their daughter. I mean, cancer, it's like my oncologist told me 1 in 8 people, women in this country, could be positive.
A lot.
And she said, think of you got 8 friends sitting around, and then you're just the one of the 8 who got cancer.
Yeah, right.
And I'm like, oh, that's nice. Why does it have to be me?
Yeah, right.
I'm just kidding.
Why did I get so lucky? Yeah, right.
Of course it had to be me. But another thing about cancer is it does bring you closer to people, and I was able to reconnect with people I hadn't talked to in a long time, and I'm telling you, just so overwhelmed, Madison, by the kindness and the outreach, and people, like I said, I went to college at SIU in Southern Illinois University years ago, and I had colleagues reaching out to me. Somehow they heard, and it was just like, oh my God. So I've reconnected with people I haven't talked to in a long time.
Wow.
So,
I mean, this isn't the way you would have wanted to trigger that, but that's,
I know. Well, and you know what? That's my journey, and I own it, and cancer's always going to be a part of me. I'm always going to be a survivor. You're like, oh, Christina and that pink, but I want to support everybody.
You're an advocate.
Yeah, because I've been through enough. People supported me, and I want to support them.
Absolutely.
So,
well, thank you so much, Christine, for joining us here today. Is there anything else you wanted to add about it? Or you?
Just to encourage everyone to get their annual checkups and be vigilant and be a little persistent and push a little and let them know. And you could do as I said, if you really, if you have it in your family, it doesn't hurt to let them know if they haven't asked you already.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for all this great advice and sharing your journey with us. And we will be back next week for our next Deskside Chat. Thank you for listening. Have a great day.